based on what we call the telegraph system. And basically our telegraphs, as they're on the ground, they're telling you where to be and where not to be. Because of this, our combat is very dynamic. Things like movement and position matter a lot. It's really also very fun, which is cool, and players with skill are rewarded. So that is probably one of the most unique things about our game. The next number of cool things about our game, we have a literal galactic boatload of content in our game, right? So on the PvE side, we have quests, we have challenges, we have path missions, and for those of you that don't know, path missions are an entire layer of content where you can sort of choose the kind of game you like to play. So there's 4 different paths. We have soldier, settler, scientist, and explorer. And when you choose to be those paths in our game, you're basically choosing the kind of content that you want to experience as you play. Path missions are about 30% of your content. So that's something that's very, very cool about WildStar. We have dungeons, we have raids, we have adventures. Adventures are sort of 5-man PvE dungeons where choice really matters. So depending on the choices that you make during the experience, the result of the adventure is very different. So those are cool.
To this panel.
And then we have, on the PvP side, we have open world PvP. Go Exiles, okay. Yeah. We have arenas and battlegrounds, which Jen is going to talk a lot about today. And then we also have war plots. And again, you guys are going to be the first people to see the worldwide debut of our war plots flick. So it's very cool. Get ready for it. Stick around for it. And that's probably it. WildStar,
in a nutshell. Thank you, Chad. So, Gaff, let's talk about the importance of Elder Game and what that means to you and really the company. And I'm sorry to interrupt real quick. If we could show some stuff on screen. This is the last zone in the game. If we can get that up on the big screen.
Yeah, what we'll bring up on screen here, this is the Grim Vault. This is one of 2 level 50+ zones that we launch with. We think, and what's Elder Game? We get asked, is Elder Game a marketing buzzword or what is it? It's actually a term in the industry used for what do you do once you're at the top level? Because on average, in your average MMO, you're trying to get the couple 100 hours of content you need in the game. It's very common to ship without anything to do at the top level. In many games, the Elder Game is you sit and wait for developers to add in the stuff they actually do once you're getting to the cool part of the game. So what we've done is we've tried to make a game where there's different cool things to be doing no matter what your gameplay style is. If you are a soloer, something like 60–65% of people in the US and European markets, they tend to mostly solo. They're playing like a massively single-player game where the bulk of your time is spent, questing, killing, doing all the, the base stuff in between, maybe do a dungeon occasionally and that sort of stuff. So we try to make sure that those people are satisfied. We have a couple of zones that are set up where you can go in, do them solo. There's, dailies, weeklies, the usual stuff you're used to. And we take it up a notch. We make sure that there are things to do in small groups. We make sure that there's areas to do where you can do it in larger groups. And then there's public events sprinkled throughout these. So more like, a Guild Wars 2 kind of style world where that's largely populated by events. That's most of our Elder Zones are set up like that so that you have something that you can do whichever you want. If you're the first one there, great, you can solo it as best you can. But the more people in the area, you don't necessarily need the group, but you're doing common activities that sort of lure you in. So in these zones, when you're fighting even single monsters, these start having really complex behaviors. Cool telegraphs that are a little, they're more complex than the stuff that lured you in, those first couple of Yeti you killed. Because all this for us is a progression. We teach you these kind of mechanics about, hey, there's red stuff on the ground, get the heck out of it. We teach you that real early on. And then we take it up another notch in dungeons. We take it up another notch in the Elder Zones. Then we go completely bonkers with it inside of raids, which we'll show some of later as well, because if you think you've seen some stuff on that, you ain't seen nothing yet. And of course, you try to tie all this together. You can capture raid bosses. You can capture veteran dungeon bosses. We have a slew of veteran dungeons. You want to play in a group, then rock on. We launch with a bunch of those as well as veteran adventures. We've tried to make sure there's a game that has a metric boatload of content, all throughout it, because we think it's important. To gamers, to us, that is what keeps us in, is not just having a fun and varied leveling game, but it's making sure there's still cool stuff to do once you hit top level. And so we tried to have that be chock full of it for all the different play styles and all the different groups. Frosty, if you want to fly about here real quick, one of the things that we introduced, and Chad will talk about this at like tremendous length for probably like 40 minutes out of our 50-minute panel. We advanced the lore of the game. We try to give you as much of this as possible in areas you can reach to solo. You know, the main sort of mystery of the game, what happened to the Elden, this mysterious race. They have all the best magic, they have all the best tech, and they've disappeared. Well, you get to find out what disappeared, and kind of spoiler alert, you know, you get to deal with it yourself. And so inside these zones, we start introducing things like the strain. This is a virus that's starting to infect the planet, make everything creepy and nasty, and corrupt all the different monsters inside. And you get to explore not just sort of seeing this visually, but also interact with the main characters of the game. We introduce characters as we go throughout the game, and then we pay this off at top level, both in these areas with cool cinematics, areas that Chad will show you actually for the first time ever as you're leveling up. And then at top level, we pay it off not just in these zones, but then with regular content updates thereafter to really sort of advance it along. So if you're a solo player, there is a ton for you to do at top level, and there's also things that will progress you if you want to start going into dungeons, start going to groups, things that kind of lure you into more sort of group-friendly content as well. So with that, I will hand it back to Mr. Frost.
All right, cool. So that's definitely a good overview, and we'll get into further detail on what that means. But specifically, I wanted to talk a little bit about PvP. We had a pretty big reaction for you guys about that. So, Jen, why don't we talk a little bit about PvP? I'm going to load up some stuff real quick here. So.
Yeah. So first, I wanted to talk about what types of PvP we have to offer for WildStar. I'm really excited in that we have a lot to almost suit every type of PvP player. So if you like the constant thrill of danger, the threat of an ambush, some fighting around quest hubs, then open world PvP and the PvP's rule set are right for you. If you like the type of structured matches with larger teams, then perhaps you like our Battlegrounds environment, and you can practice, and you also have a rated experience at level 50. And then we have the small team competitive environments of the 2v2, 3v3, and 5v5 arenas. You can get in early at level 30 and practice, or you can do the rated content for the PvP Elder game at 50. And then finally, we have our massive, super exciting system, which is 40v40 matches wrapped in a war party team structure with customization called war plots. So we're not going to be talking a whole lot about that today, but we do have the war plots flick. And I wanted to break down a little bit about arenas and battlegrounds.
So if we can go to the screen real quick, we're going to talk about Walatiki first.
Yeah, so with our battlegrounds, you can start to play in them at level 6. You're going to be earning experience, prestige, which is our PvP currency, through completing of the matches. You get bonus amounts if you win, and you'll get experience and prestige from completing objectives in the space. So, for example, with Walatiki, mask captures. So Walatiki Temple is a capture the flag variant. The goal of the map is to capture 5 Moody masks for your team. There's a mask room for each side, Exile and Dominion. You will start out with 1 mask in the room, and at the start of the match, a mask will spawn in the center in one of 4 random locations. Now the cool thing about this one is that you can actually steal your opponent's mask. So you have a number of choices to do once the match starts. Do you go and defend your own mask? Do you go after the enemy's mask and steal it away from them? Or do you go after the neutral spawn mask? So with our battleground systems, we have rallying in place, and this will allow you to be boosted to the max level of the bracket so that your abilities, your items, all scale appropriately, so we have nice fair fights. This is Halls of the Bloodsworn. This is our level 15 battleground. It's a variant on an attack-defend map. So the map is split into 2 rounds. So the first round, you're randomly assigned either the attacker or defender, and your role as the attacker is to capture 3 rooms in progression. And you do this, each room has the control points. So there's a primary control point and 2 secondary control points. The primary control point uses a presence mechanic, so you standing on top of the pad will increase the capture rate. If the defender goes and stands on the pad, then they're going to halt your progress. The secondaries can be used for the attackers to give them buffs to help them with the combat in the space, and will modify the capture rate. So again, like with Walatiki Temple, there are a lot of choices you can make when the match starts. Do you want to go after the primary point, and if you're a defender, defend it, or for your attacker, start accruing the capture meter? Or do you go after the secondaries to get your bonus and your buffs? So the goal for this one is once the round is over, if the second round will begin, and the team that has captured the most rooms or has captured them in the fastest amount of time will win. So that kind of wraps up our Battleground experience, and now I want to dive into a little bit of arenas for you. Like I said earlier, for Battlegrounds, we'll actually have a level 50 rated version, and the leveling from 6 to 49 or 50 or whatnot you also have a practice experience. So this is the Slaughter Dome. This is our arena map for launch. Again, 2v2, 3v3, and 5v5 variants. You can practice at level 30, and this one doesn't affect any sort of rating. You can join in solo, you can join in groups, and really experience what WildStar's combat has to offer. There's a lot of line of sight blocking elements in the center. There are short walls that can be double jumped over to help you avoid attacks. And all in all, this is really, really fun. We don't have a standard deathmatch elimination. We've gone with something rather unique. So we have a shared team respawn pool. And what ends up happening, for example, with the 3v3 matches, each team has 6 lives that are shared between the teammates. So the objective for the match is to deplete the enemy's respawn pool to 0 and then eliminate any members who are remaining standing. So this makes a really fast, frenetic experience, and overall, it really showcases WildStar's combat. So each of these systems, by the way, will give you a chance to, when you're going through the rated experience for Battlegrounds rewards, you can get Battleground PvP gear through rating. Same thing with the rated arena system. And that's about it for us.
Alrighty. So next up, what we're going to do, speaking of our socioeconomic homeboy, Joe Pipora, he's going to be going through the Elder game progression, which is arguably one of the more important things in an MMO, I would think. So we're going to switch spots real quick. This is awkward, I'm sorry.
So Jen, is there any PvP form that Pappy has actually won in, or is Chad just lost in?
He's actually won in the open world.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he actually went and when we had our live stream event, there were a couple of duels that he won.
I won a lot. Okay.
I think he needs to learn to not hit enter and open up the chat window.
Yeah, that was an interesting strategy. I like to open up the console strategy.
It was a technical
Yes.
difficulty.
Yeah, technical. Your fingers are not good
correctly.
at the game. I'd like to point out really quickly, we've only shown Pappy playing the PvP. When he's in your group on a dungeon, it is the worst thing in the world.
Mainly because you don't get to kill anything because I'm slaughtering.
Right, yeah, that's what I was going to say next.
You don't get to hear anything. You're bellowing like a bull moose the entire
Dude,
time. Like,
I'm not kidding you. If he's about to die, he's like, Frost, help me, please. Oh, dude, I'm going to die. Look.
Leroy Jenkins is both quiet and calm compared to Chad in the dungeon.
It's pretty bad. Anyway, sorry. Joe, please, regale us.
Ladies and gentlemen, please perk up, because now we're going to start talking about the stuff that you actually want to hear about. I know you heard about PvP, and you're going to hear about story and all sorts of fun stuff about WildStar, because fun's really important or something. But big numbers are really important too. Right? Yeah. So yeah, that's going to be the focus of my discussion. I want to talk a little bit about itemization and reward systems in WildStar. So to kind of start things off, how do you get rewards in WildStar? You need to participate in the content that you're trying to progress in order to get rewards. All right, that's very important to us. If you want to get the best PvP gear in WildStar, you're going to have to go do rated PvP content. You're going to need to do rated war plots or rated arenas. You're going to have to get involved in that stuff. If you want to get some of the best, shiniest raid gear out there, the best PvE gear out there, you're going to have to raid for it. Now, if you go and do our 20-man content, which is called Genetic Archives, you're going to get a set of epic gear, several tiers of it, in fact, while you're going through the instance space. Now that stuff is fantastic, don't get me wrong. Epics are great, who doesn't like purples? But it gets better, because if you can get into our Datascape 40-man raid space, then you're getting legendary gear. You're getting orange gear. That is the creme de la creme. It's fantastic, right? So I'm going to show you off a little bit of that stuff in just one moment. But before
Because
then,
Pappy broke things.
What's that?
Because Pappy broke things.
Because Pappy broke my machine. Just like he broke all those mobs in those dungeon spaces. Okay, but I'm just going to go ahead and keep talking for now. Yeah. So we have several other systems that support our itemization that I'll talk about right now. So the first of those is a system called rune crafting. Now, items after level 15 have the opportunity to randomly roll rune slots on the equipment. Now that could be a breastplate or a weapon, or it really doesn't matter. Virtually all items have the ability to have these. So what can you put in rune slots? Well, you put runes in rune slots. That should be that should be a given. I expect you people should already have that answer in hand. But yes, so you put runes in the rune slots. The runes have a number of different effects, whether they grant bonus stats, whether they apply a set bonus to your gear. Because in our game, WildStar, set bonuses aren't on individual gear pieces. In fact, what we have is a number of different rune sets that you can collect and slot into your gear with the rune slot system. So, if you're a collector and you do all the different types of content that you can get, your class set bonus equipped, you can get like a different elemental set bonus equipped, you can have 3 and sometimes even 4 of these sets equipped if you happen to have exactly the right combination of rune slots and the exact right number. But that's up to you to collect those things. Now, these rune slots, when an item is created, these are randomly rolled. So the breastplate that you got last week is going to be different for the person rolling on it this week. If you're in a raid and you happen to both be getting the same breastplate that dropped off the same boss for some bizarre reason, those breastplates will be different functionally from one another. So, in addition to that, we have another system in itemization in WildStar, and that's called imbuements. So imbuements are quests attached to items. So you could find a weapon in a dungeon, like a sword if you're a warrior, or a rifle if you're an engineer, and this might have an imbuement quest associated with it. The imbuement quest might say, hey, we need you to go kill something. We need you to go kill some big bad nasty in a different dungeon. Or we need you to go max out reputation with this faction over here. We need you to go and collect these 12 things from this space over there. If you go and you do those things, you're going to unlock more power on that item than it had originally. Now, the item initially was already pretty good. It's a good drop. We're not going to ruin it for you guys. But if you bother to go through and actually do the imbuement process, you're going to come out with some of the best gear that WildStar has to offer. And that's not just stuff dropping in raids. We have those things, again, dropping as quest rewards, available through reputation, off rare drops from rare mobs. We have all sorts of things available to you.
So let's check out on the big screen here. We've got some of the raid drops on some mannequins here. One of the cool things we have in housing is the ability to have mannequins. You can store all your old gear. You don't have to get rid of it or anything like that. You can kind of show it off.
Yep. So going from left to right, we have I've collected a number of sets to kind of show off today. These are some of our 40-player raid sets available from completing the Datascape content. So from left to right, we have a Stalker set here, Spell Slinger set if you're into that. We have an Esper set with lots of glowies. We have an Engineer set for those who are friendly. And of course, we have our Medic set. It's really clear that's a Medic set. Come on. Super fancy, very technical. Now, I think it's worth pointing out that there are 2 versions of each of these sets, in addition to there being a number of different sub-tiers of itemization within these spaces. There's going to be a support version and an assault version for every class. For the uninitiated in WildStar, every class has a support role and an assault role. So everybody can kind of do DPS if they want, but then they also have the ability to either tank or heal. So there are different sets available in these spaces for those players. So yeah, that's some of our raid gear right there. You can see that my Draken here is already wearing the warrior set.
So dope.
I don't think those shoulder plates are big enough.
Yeah, I think the shoulder plates are plenty big enough.
Get that flex.
Oh, there it is. Hashtag WildStar. All right, so
tell your friends.
Tell your friends. So that's a lot of the really important stuff that I want to talk about as it relates to itemization systems. There's one last bit that I didn't go over, and that is Elder Gems. Now, Elder Gems, again, for the uninitiated, is a cap-level currency that you earn in WildStar for completing any kind of content you like. So how does that work? Every 75,000 experience points that you would have earned before are instead called Elder Points once you reach level 50, which is our level cap. So once you earn 75,000 of these Elder points, which are, again, essentially experience points, and once you earn 75,000 of these Elder points, they convert to an Elder Gem. A gem, this Elder Gem, is a form of currency that you can use to buy a number of different things, whether they be raid armor or dungeon items or costume items or any kind of mount customization equipment that you've seen in some of our trailers. Much of that stuff is available on the Elder Gem vendor specifically. Now, to prevent you guys from grinding your faces off in order to get all the Swedish rewards, we only let you earn 140 of these a week from the conversion of experience points. But there are other methods of earning these as well. You'll have to find when you're playing the game. So that's really important to us. But again, harkening back to my earlier comments about needing to participate in the content in order to get the gear, if you want to get, again, there's some raid gear available on the Elder Gem vendor. But in order to buy that gear, you need to have an achievement indicating that you've killed the boss that gear would normally drop from. So that's important to us. We need to make sure that you've actually gone and done the content. This is here as a supplement to your gear, not a primary source of gear. You're not going to be buying all of your stuff. You're going to be trying to roll on that stuff in raids. You're going to be using DKP or whatever, Suicide Kings, whatever bizarre system your guild uses. Or you're going to be in dungeons and you're going to be rolling on that stuff using our need to greet system. So all that stuff is available to you. But yeah, I mean, that's a lot of the stuff that I want to talk about today.
What about the fancy schmancy item that you got?
Oh, jeez, I didn't even want to talk about
do
this.
it,
All
do
right,
it.
all
Come
right,
on,
all
come
right, all right. Okay, so there's one more thing. This is not scripted. All right, so there's one more thing that I will talk about because I was kind of on the fence, but he just talked me into it. All right, so, because I have a little bit more time. So we have a thing called artifacts in WildStar. And this is basically, I talked about how there's epics and they're purple, and there's legendaries and they're orange, and those are fantastic, right? So they're the creme de la creme. But then there's artifacts. So it goes purple, orange, pink. Pink is good.
Dat pink dough?
Oh, that pink though. So, artifact weapons, again, we have two versions for every class. There's a support version and there's an assault version. We don't want to make it so just stalkers get their claws, and that's it for the expansion. That's not what we're going to do, no. So everybody has the ability to earn their artifact weapon, assuming they're able to participate in the most difficult content in WildStar and then also get lucky. So that is available to them. But let's talk about what makes these actually special, okay?
Let's take a second to just look at how dope this sword is. I mean, look at... Oh, damn.
It's pretty nice. This is a very shiny sword, and it gets much shinier as you power it up, because once again, this item has imbuements associated with it. So, let's talk about that really quick. I'm going to hit you guys with a tooltip. It's going to blow your mind. Boom. All right. So...
Bloodow.
So this item initially has some really, really good stats. It has really, really good assault power. Support power. Not assault power. It's got really bad assault power. Really good support power. This is a tanking sword. Okay, fantastic tanking sword. Hence the steadfast. However, if you want to unlock all of the potential of this weapon, you're going to have to go do some really crazy stuff to unlock all these extra stats. And I'll tell you, some of them get really complex. There is a special proc you can get at the end of the current legacy line for the artifact weapons that is, again, unique only to these weapons. And again, it's going to make you very, very powerful. But to do that, the last step of that line is going to require that you kill 2 40-man raid bosses at the same time. Special ones, they're summoned only for this that you will have never seen before.
Hold on, wait. Did you say at the same time, Joe?
It's essentially an 80-player raid fight. So that's pretty good. I have watched many testers destroy themselves on that fight.
And it's good.
And giggled. But again, it's really important. We want you. One of the cool things about the imbuement system, and I know I'm taking up my time, but I'd like to talk about items. So one of the cool things about this system is that we can add more imbuement quests to these items over time, so we can change them. So rather than saying that this item was really good at launch and then no one looked at it again, we can add more imbuement quests to it over the course before like a level bump, for example. And then that item remains relevant. It's not just a status symbol that you take out of your bank to sit around with in the capital city sometime. That's the thing you want to use, and you look badass for doing so.
You can do that too, by the way. That's cool.
No, yeah. I don't want to hold that. Well, actually, you don't need to stand around town because we have costume weapons in WildStar. So you can just equip the weapon cosmetically and have it forever. That's up to you. But yeah, so that really, at that point, that actually covers everything that I want to talk about, in addition to the artifact stuff. So artifacts, very cool.
Thanks. Now let's make another awkward transition.
I'm excited about that.
All right.
Wow.
I just want to know, who likes the color pink now?
Right? That pink dough.
Okay.
So
Our game goes not only to 11, it goes to pink.
So another thing that we're going to talk about, we're going to talk to Chad again here.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, everybody. We're going to have to talk to Chad again.
Chat more, everybody.
So we're going to talk about the idea of world story content and what that means exactly. So Chad, why don't you give us a background a little bit? What is a world story, Holmes?
So, again, let's get back to the important thing in WildStar: story and
Loot.
lore. Okay, right?
AVP.
So the world story, basically, one of the most important stories that you'll get involved with as soon as you get to Nexus is centered around the question, what exactly happened to the Elden? And the Elden are this hyper-advanced race that used to live on Nexus, and when you get here, you realize that they're no longer here, that they've disappeared. And so, right from the beginning of the game, you get involved in this sort of multi-stage, long-range quest, which is what happened to them. And so, as you go into different zones, you will begin to do episodes that are designed specifically around uncovering that mystery. And a character who is very central to that story is this mysterious character whose name is Drusera. And so you will start to see Drusera in the open world as you're questing through the game. There's these dynamic events where she'll show up and you'll sort of approach her and she'll disappear and she'll say things. NPCs around the world will actually start to talk about her, wondering who she is. And then right at about level 35, you are called to your capital city to investigate this strange anomaly. When you pass through the anomaly, you meet Drusera herself.
So let's pull up Drusera here on the big screen. You can see what she looks like. So this is Drusera.
And what happens from level 35 to level cap is you begin to do these instances, these Drusera instances. And this is the first time that anyone has ever actually seen any of this content. We haven't released it on beta. We've been kind of holding it back because it's special content that's all about actually the mystery of Nexus and what took place here long ago and your role in that and Drusera's role in that. And so you guys are the first people that get to see this content in action.
Pretty rad, right? So another cool thing you're seeing also, have you noticed our UI is kind of different? Yeah, the Warrior had that too. It's different stuff. So we're watching, you guys have seen the Adventures dev speak, right? The Caretaker and dealing with him. This is Caretaker right here. What's the deal with that guy?
So throughout these instances, you'll interact with iconic characters. Obviously, Drusera, people like the Caretaker, who you may recognize from our Adventures video. The Caretaker is this sort of schizophrenic virtual construct who was created by the Elden, and he's sort of gone on the fritz over the past 1,000 years. And so sometimes he's your friend, and sometimes he's your enemy. He's involved in these Drusera instances. Some of your faction leaders will also be involved in these adventures. But what they are, and we'll sort of get into one here, is that they are content that is specifically designed for people who like story. It's difficult sometimes in the open world to create sort of linear stories, where you really focus on, what's happening here on Nexus. This is our way of actually solving that problem. Another problem it solves, and this is just sort of something that's my opinion, but I think other people hold it as well, is in a lot of MMOs, some of the most epic moments, right, in games, they actually take place in places like raids or dungeons. Now, I don't know about you guys, but most of my friends that are hardcore raiders just don't really care a whole lot about the stories that are happening in there, right? So, like...
More dots.
Yeah, you don't want to be, the lore hound in your 40-man raid group who's, like, stopping in the middle of an encounter and says, hey, guys, check out this book, man. You mind if I read it to you?
Kicked.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think you'll be invited back to the other raid. So the Drusera instances are our way of addressing that problem, right? They are designed for people who really want to get into the mysteries of Nexus. What exactly were the Elden doing here? What happened to them? And then ultimately, what will be your role in the ongoing adventure on how to solve that problem? For example, this particular Drusera instance, this isn't the first one, it's one of the ones that you'll experience as you go through content, but this is the first place where you are actually introduced to the strain. So Jeremy talked about that a little earlier, right? We have an entire level 50 zone called the Grim Vault that has been completely corrupted and overrun with strain. This is, pretty bad stuff. Anything it touches, it corrupts, it transforms creatures that you've seen in the open world into like horrible abominations that are even more dangerous than they were the last time you fought them. So if you are one of those players who likes to enjoy the story and gets into it, you're going to sometimes see things before anybody else. You are actually going to know that the strain is something that is tied very specifically to the story of what happened to the Elden. You're going to find things like data cubes in these instances that talk about the strain and talk about, what the Elden thought about it, the dangers that it posed and what they plan to do about it. And the further along you get in the story, the deeper is your knowledge of the actual story of WildStar. I think, the important thing, again, about this content is that it's all soloable. So, if you're a player and you're not, a hardcore raider or someone who runs a lot of dungeons, if you're just someone that wants to get in, learn about the story, in a sort of more controlled and directed experience that's really just for you, then these instances, the Drusera instances, are going to be your cup of tea.
And so how many of these do you think we're going to see throughout the leveling game?
So there's 5 Drusera instances that take place before cap, and then once you reach cap, we will begin to release regular content that are called our world story instances. And that is basically the content that will resolve the issue that you learn at the end of the game, right? Once you get to the end and you've played through the Drusera instances and you are at the end of the leveling experience, you will know what happened to the Elden and what danger is now facing you on Nexus. The world story instances that take place after cap are very specifically designed so that to tell the story of how you're going to resolve that. And those will be released episodically at regular intervals after we reach cap.
The Elden used such advanced technology as 1990s children's games to protect some of the deepest secrets. Can Frost do it in real time?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There it is.
He fails like every time he's done to some practice.
I like playing games.
And just to be clear, it's not as if our dungeons and our raids aren't going to have story. They are also going to be tied very specifically into the overarching story of Planet Nexus. It's just not the place where you're going to really dig into the nitty-gritty. The instances are the place you're going to do that.
Cool. Thanks, Chad. Appreciate that, man. So, let's give it up for Chad. So next up, we're gonna talk about something that is pretty interesting, I think, and we haven't.
Speaking of raids.
Yeah, speaking of raids, transition. We're gonna talk about raids, and we're gonna show some footage here that hasn't really been shown yet. We're gonna show some of the stuff from Genetic Archives, which you have seen, and then some of the stuff from Datascape, which you haven't seen. So to help me out, we have Chris Lynch.
Hello.
So I've always wanted to say this. Let's go to the tape. So if you look on screen here. Awesome. So what are we looking at here, Chris?
Right now we're looking at the Genetic Archives, and this is an example of what our raids are like. And for those of you who aren't familiar with what raids are the obstacle that blocks you from all that cool loot that Joe was talking about earlier, right? So in WildStar, we expect our raids to be 20 men and 20 person and 40
Thank you, Chris.
person. Thank you. I'm politically correct
Thank
here.
you.
So, when we first started designing these things, we approached it your standard MMO or your standard MMO style, right? And we found that we weren't having that much fun because WildStar's combat is totally different than other MMOs' combat. We have lots of, aiming, positioning, movement, dodging, double jumping, and we weren't using those tools to start off with. So we have many developers from all across the industry, and we had to bring them in and start teaching them the WildStar combat. And actually, it took us a couple years to get used to it, but you can see after a couple years, we're really, really, really creating some great stuff here.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, the creation process of this. And, looking at this room, there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yep.
What's the intended difficulty of this?
Actually, we're aiming for the very, 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 very hardcore. We want these to be as hard as they can be for PvE content. But one of the things we like to say is that starting at level 1, we start teaching you the tactics you need to know to get through this stuff, right? You start seeing these telegraphs early on, and then we slowly increase the difficulty all the way up to level 50. So even if you haven't raided in other games, we're hoping that by the time you reach level 50, you might feel comfortable enough to get in there and actually see some of these tactics. And try it with 20 or 40 of your closest friends.
Close friends.
Close friends, yes. Hey.
Let's hope that they stay close after these things, because it's going to be so brutal.
Hey, Frost, I'll be your friend.
Yeah.
I don't want Chad in my raid.
Your only friend.
I'll be honest here. You know, as much as Frost likes to act like he's hardcore here, I don't think he's actually good enough to go through our raids, and I think he will admit that.
Damn.
Yeah,
That's
sorry.
true. They'd kick the crap out of me. That's,
Yeah.
that's true. So let's talk about something else in these trash mobs, right? So we've seen some boss stuff. What about trash mobs in our game?
I'd like to correct you there. We actually don't have trash mobs. We call them base population because
You say trash mob, I say base population.
There's totally difference, right? Because when we're designing our raids, we're basically building a timeline. Let's say a raid's supposed to take 6 hours. We want to make sure every second of that raid is entertaining, right? We don't want these boring trash mobs that you have to lull through, right? So when we're designing it, every single portion of that raid is actually considered in seconds, right? We go through every second. And we try to design our trash mobs, aka base pop. We try to make it so that each base pop is a puzzle. And then after those mini puzzles you solve, you might approach a mini boss, which is a larger puzzle. It's a little bit more hard, or a little bit more complex to get through. And then you're going to approach a boss, which is probably some of the most complex puzzles we're going to put in raids. But really, we want to make sure that every single second of every single portion of the dungeon it is entertaining for every single role, every single class, and every single player. So when we're designing these boss fights, we try to make sure that, hey, what is the PvE, or what is the healer doing? What is the tank doing? What is the range DPS doing? What's the melee DPS doing? And we like to make sure that every second of that fight is fun. If we find out at any point there's a lull or a boring spot during that fight, we go back in, we iterate upon it, we try to make it more fun. And the end is, hopefully, like in this case, Omna, 10 minutes of pure fun for all roles and classes.
Fun if you're masochistic, right?
Yes, definitely. Fun if you're willing to get in there and beat it.
And die all the time.
Die.
So another thing that's in here that I just wanted to touch on really quick, a lot of our raids have these mechanics where we're using the environment and it's not necessarily just a boss. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Using our combat system, I mean, as you see, we have telegraphs and stuff, so we can actually create entire rooms themselves that are our fights. We don't have to use creatures in it. We can actually make the room come to life and fight you, attack you with fire. It could be collapsing platforms. We can do any number of things to challenge the raid, keep them on their toes, keep it entertaining. Like I said, every second needs to be fun.
So you guys are also looking at the Datascape right now. This is the 40-man raid. We haven't shown any of this stuff. You're the first to see this. You guys even have like a 3-second head start over the people that are streaming.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like you get it 3 seconds before them.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'd like to give a round of applause to our artists because this zone is freaking amazing looking. And also our raid developers. I mean, look at these telegraphs and tactics they're trying to make the players overcome. I mean, this is crazy. This is crazy. This is why Frost does not live. Frost is actually the one on the telegraph right there.
What?
Yeah.
Dude. I don't know
sorry.
if you
We're
guys
not
know
supposed
this.
to bash each other, so
I don't know if you guys know this about Chris Lynch. He's the combat design lead, but he's also a professional bus thrower in front of her. It's on his business card.
I'm sorry about that.
It's getting awkward up there.
Hey, I'm one of the ones in the telegraphs too. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm lying. I can do it.
Well, yeah. What? How dare you? So, I also want to talk about what's the other word for trash? Base pop?
Base population.
Yeah, that one. So, Joe, for those, you get loot off of those as well, right?
Yes.
Okay. Good loot, though, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, I just wanted to make sure that it's not always just about killing the boss to get that stuff, because you can get other
This is
stuff
another
out of that,
mildly
too.
insane
Yes.
telegraph, by the way, going on behind us here.
We try to reward you all along.
Can I just comment briefly? People sometimes ask, don't telegraphs make combat too easy?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
How many of y'all are going to be able to dodge this?
Level 3, yeah, they do.
Come on.
Somebody, where we say the devs are listening, we read all the comments that are on like YouTube videos and things that we read the forums, we listen to a lot of stuff. And one of the things that I saw that made me laugh, yeah,
Can you
we
guess
like
who that
melting
is?
faces, yeah. So,
So one of the things that we looked at was like somebody on there was like, oh, these are like training wheels online. That's what they should call this game because the telegraphs are training wheels. So those training wheels will melt your face. I just want to point that out. Just saying. Yeah. It's the tricycle of death.
So the devs are not only listening, they're apparently calling you out in front of live streams in funny voices. So
there it is. Let's talk about this one a little bit too. This room, it's getting corrupted. We saw the corruption earlier.
That's the appropriate word, corrupted.
Yes, corrupted.
The other word.
So you'll notice that as you beat this boss, the room changes.
Actually, they're losing to the boss right now. Yes. So
There's a
what's
common
happening
theme
here is
amongst
that
most of the video we have.
call this a tug-of-war fight, right? So you're trying to fight the corruption. They just cleared off a portion of the corruption, and as they push that boss further and further back into the room, see him retreating there? He actually gains more and more powers as he gets further into the room. So as you're beating him, he actually becomes harder and harder, but as you start losing to him, he becomes easier and easier. So we call it like a tug-of-war. And we think that depending on your raid's skill, equipment, and various other things, you will probably get further into the room until you finally have enough skill or equipment to beat this boss.
So
This is a good example of a room that is an environmental hazard that we don't have any creatures in this room, but we expect you to get through it and survive it with 40 people. As you can see, the evil caretaker in the background, he's actually creating all this stuff. Yeah.
So this looks cool and all, but can we actually see a raid in action?
Yeah. Let's.
Oh, yeah.
Check
Let's
it
do
out. I'll
that.
show you guys some cool stuff here. So this one, we call this a spectacular failure. Can
Yes,
you
we
explain
do.
what a spectacular failure is?
So a spectacular failure is when you die.
Let's cut this on screen, by the way.
We
Let's go
want
to the
you
tape.
to die spectacularly, and we want you to know why you die. We don't want you to just be frustrated. So in this case, they're going to be fighting Experiment X89. And a couple things you're going to see here. The first thing you're going to see is a tiny little telegraph, tiny being the size of one of those platforms. And see how the platform lines up? This is the first time this raid, or actually I think it's the third time this particular group's ever fought this creature. And they're learning it. They actually don't know how to beat him yet. They have no idea what this telegraph's about to do, and you're about to see what happens.
This is glorious.
He's like, what do I do? It's following me. And then, now, he just, that person right there, that poor soul just killed half his raid group. And the rest of his raid group is like, what did you do? How do we beat this, right? And this is one of the fun things about raids, is you're actually trying to figure out how to beat these things, right? And so another person has it right now, and he's like, oh crap, what do I do? Yeah.
Right. No, that's a good call.
That's
Somebody
a good call.
just yelled,
Jump off.
That's actually
He's
what
like,
you're
I'm going to go
supposed
to
to
the
do.
edge over here, so I'm only going to blow up half of them. So,
There's still one more shining moment coming up, though.
Oh, yeah. It gets real good.
Oh, here it is.
Oh, we got
see that warrior using his movement abilities?
That's a good leap.
So,
Warrior's so
WildStar,
pro.
big on the movement and movement abilities.
no.
Yeah. Game over here. Game over. Yeah.
This is my favorite part of the video, actually.
So to go along with that, we actually have something we call spectacular success. And one of the cool things about this video, for me at least, is this happened just last weekend. So it's been months since that last video happened.
So just for a frame of reference really quick, I bleeped everything out with bleeps and farmyard animals noises. So just
This is
to bleep
actually
it.
on a Twitch stream. I believe the streamer's name is Zyback. And you're going to see what happens when him and his raid tackle X89. It's been months.
Show.
I might have to use your movement abilities like every time. I didn't have to there, but vomitory jump off, please. Small bomb, get out of. Side back.
Ignore the techno
Spear.
music, please.
Yeah. It's all raid gibberish.
This is so f***ed up.
Thank you. Can't afford to lose any of these.
Half the raid currently dead.
Just don't be on the boss right now.
So you'll notice they only have 6 people alive right now.
Don't stand right on
7
top
I
of
can't
him.
count.
Continue.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Go tank, tank.
Boss hit points dropping though.
Show.
Yep. They are down to 4 platforms.
Oh my god! Kill him!
Fire pillars. Fire platforms.
3 platforms.
This is so Oh my god,
5
are we gonna
people.
get down to 1?
5 people left.
Oh, he's got it.
I'm not gonna.
Oh, he's got the big one.
I'm jumping.
Side back jump.
Yep,
Jump.
Yep.
He's
I was
figuring
just
out how to
saying
deal with the
Oh
bomb.
my god.
This is the
Kill it.
expected.
Oh my
Okay.
2 people left.
Side back. Get back up and kill it, please.
One person left.
Yes! That's I'm not resing any of you guys. Yeah, you guys are running back. That was so. Oh.
So that is a rare, spectacular success.
Yes. Yes.
Wow.
We love moments like this.
Dude, crazy.
So for us as developers, we love watching this stuff. We're always on Twitch. We watch these raids, and that was just a huge moment for us because we got to see the amount of joy just on Zybak's face and the success that happened there.
The other thing to point out, too, you know, we're up here, of course we're biased and we're saying, you know, we love our game and it's great and blah, 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 but, you know, look at that dude's reaction. That wasn't fake. You know, that was him actually very excited to be playing this game, and that was a lot of joy right there.
So I highly encourage y'all all to visit Twitch. Just go to the WildStar tab and find someone who's playing the game and see how much fun they're actually having. Because obviously, like Frost said, we're here to tell you how great it is because we think it's great. But you should actually listen to the players as well.
And go to the booth, by the way, and play it and pre-order the game and do all that fun stuff. So thank you, Chris, for that, by the way.
No problem.
That was awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Is it my turn now?
Yeah, it's your turn, Jen. Go ahead.
So I've been talking a ton about arenas and battlegrounds, but like I can't wait to talk about this other thing. We're going to be doing a deep dive for this very, very soon. So keep your eye on our WildStar Online website. And now here's the worldwide exclusive of the Warplots Dev Flick.
Yeah, let's go to the tape.
Team.
Crude humor. That would be us.
Yay.
Hey, I ain't one to wax poetic about things, you hear me? So I'm gonna get right to the point. War plots. What are war plots? You slow or something? Look, for guys like me, war plots are like your favorite food, wrapped in a six-pack of beer, wrapped inside another six-pack of beer. What I mean is, if you like to kick ass, there just ain't nothing better. How does it work? Here, I'll break it down for you. 1. Gather up your crew and start a war party. 2. Buy a war plot and dress it up real nice. 3. Land that bad boy and go to war. After that, things start to get real interesting. While you're busy taking names and cracking skulls on the battlefield, you can collect resources, use them to power up the stuff on your war plot, and start raising hell. There's plasma cannons, mines, incinerators, and rocket launchers. You got bunkers, teleporters, defense grids, attack ships, robot factories, nuclear power plants, and orbital strike capabilities. And if you just happen to capture something big and ugly at the bottom of a dungeon, yeah, you can use that too. After that, it's all academical. Destroy the enemy's power generators, or capture all the resources and starve the bastards out. Either way, the toughest crew wins, and the losers go home crying. So, that's about it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I got some unfinished business to attend to. Oh boy. I think we won.
Our cinematics team is probably the best in the industry. I just want to point that out.
Can
by
we
the
give
way.
them a hand?
So we got another special thing for you, Gaff. What do we got?
So, since we're revealing all sorts of stuff for the first time. I will announce here for the first time as well, we have officially gone gold as of today. Our discs are being made. So in celebration, now as you know, we do massive updates on a regular basis. Every month we've done an update of 92 pages of patch notes, 80 pages of patch notes. One's going live next week, 71 pages of patch notes. You know, each month is kind of a busy little process for us. So what we're actively doing is trying to get as many people into beta as we can. And so with that in mind, we have beta key for everybody in the room as you're leaving. We got a card to get into beta. If you're already in beta, thank you a super ton, because we need you guys to make sure the game is good. We still got multiple updates coming. We need as much feedback as humanly possible to drive it. So if you're already in beta, awesome. Get a card, give it to your friend. Try not to sell it on eBay. But as you're leaving, there'll be people there with batches of cards. Everybody here gets one.
Also, I don't know if we have those up here. So we're going to be at the booth. We're not going to be taking questions at the panel because we don't really have much time left. But if you want to come to the booth and talk to us, please do. Maybe not all at once because there's a lot of you. But if you want to come by and ask us anything, we're happy to talk with you. We can pretty much talk about anything now at this point. I mean, we've talked about a lot. So stay tuned to next week because we're going to be having a lot more stuff on the war plots.
Exactly.
We're going to be having more stuff on raids later. We're going to have a lot more videos, more fun stuff. But in the meantime, pre-order, please. It's coming out June 3rd. We thank you guys so much for coming out today, and we'll see you at the booth.
Cool.
Stuff and plumbers aside, I've dealt with many haters. I'm tough, something's different this time around. Got me stressing my fungal crown. Usurpers with fairy tale dreams abound. Flush them down the green pipe and watch them drown. Put a frown on your peachy smile. Stay with this lizard for a while. In tights with inventions built for terror and style. Be nice, I'll turn you from a princess to a queen. I'm the greatest king that you've ever seen. Empire of toads do my bidding. So sweet peach stream, I want your cream. But to Fratelli displease me. These guineas don't go down easy. Wanted dead or alive as long as I can cook them for eating. My many Goombas all fail. My hammer brothers derail. These two can't be the nail in the coffin of my kingly tale. Kingly tale. Kingly tale. Kingly tale.
You're losing your mind again. I'm losing my baby, losing my favorite again.
You got delusions of grandeur you can't even imagine. Children see my face and don't understand it. Saw reaping and screaming, then they call me a demon. The anguish that instills is beyond human cohesion. But am I even human? Or just parts instilled with movement? Can you tell me that I have a soul? Or are you just assuming? Puppet master, take the blame. They associate me with your name. They shriek Frankenstein and disgust me to know I'm one and the same. The role of God that you conquer, realize they call me a monster. I've seen beauty and rebirth and they were nothingness haunted. The being that you created, humanity's object of hatred, abhorred by my own creator, a fucking abomination.
Stumble, grumbling belly, burning suns, and then an inaudible mumble inside my head. What did it mean? By my myself smitten by machines. The screams of outlanders and racists cheering once I met the queen. Her soldiers claimed I had power, masters debated 4 hours. Cowering cowards, dowered dowagers. I was meant to tower over all others. In my mind, take back the balance for the light. So I excelled and well enough that I ascended tonight. My patience could not be sated, and so it seems I was fated, elated by the propositions of dark lords castigated. I mow down all who stand against a lord beyond what they had sensed. I tense my tendons as I burn with power cold and immense. But that was also long ago. On graves unmarked I stand alone. I've sown the earth with salt, assaulted and destroyed every clone. Beneath 2 suns another burns. From masters turned away he learns. Returning paladin, ask yourself, can your father be turned?
Do you know how to be a villain?
In the little city, sweet and peaceful citizens are living heedless of evil. A hero stands sentinel for their protection, guarding them from every single malediction. But out of a dark and mysterious past, cause the black card never seems to kick some ass. I'm on like a thunderstorm malevolently, but my vile profile lacks unique identity. Where my minions are robots who obey my will. Am I racking up ducats or racking up kills? Do we spending hunter on the black hole sun, packing knives, rings, and quads on a 20-pound gun. Choices to be made, more options, more powers. What's gonna bring me closer to a citizen tower? Why try to be terrible? Tough as nails when a duel can succeed where a maverick fails. Cut to the decision.
Up for the division, mad science, the incision that will bring forth division. Once one, now two, we split in twain.
I'll take the brawn,
I'll take the brain,
making me a mountain of monstrous muscle.
Grant me the gift of intellectual hustle. We flow.
Cosplay, it's time to go. No one can stand against the Death Star bros.
Rivers of blood will be
Turn the eagle, got a villain switch, set my sights on the city, gonna make him a bitch. Towering turns were a terrible team, licensed by the sake of the heaters and scream.
bastards and
rapscallions. Skeleton, I'm run, Ganon, think like Attila, hit like a cannon.
Pestilence, war, famine and death in the millions. Famine and death in the millions.
I wanna be on the 5 o'clock news. Use my huge mind to devise a plan for publicity. Right there is me, on top of a robot and I'm cackling.
Hi there, I'm Lindsay here with Ben Q at the CES show. Now, joining us today is Justin Wong. He is #1 in the country